At 57, Robert Taylor reveals the disgusting truth about Barbara Stanwyck marriage. Robert Taylor was born Spangler Arlington Brew on August 5, 1911 in Philly, Nebraska, growing up in a small Midwestern town. Taylor exhibited a combination of determination and charm that would later define his career in the film industry. His early life was marked by a strong family influence and a grounding in Midwestern values, which gave him a sense of discipline and humility uncommon among many Hollywood stars of his era. This foundation would later become evident in both his professional work and personal life, as he maintained a reputation for professionalism, kindness, and reliability throughout his decade-long career. Taylor's journey to stardom began when he moved to Los Angeles and enrolled at the University of Southern California, where he studied engineering before discovering his passion for acting. It was during these formative years that he first attracted attention for his striking appearance and charisma, qualities that would become his hallmark. Taylor's early entry into Hollywood was facilitated by his contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, one of the most prestigious studios of the time, which recognized both his talent and star potential. His early films showcased a range of roles from romantic leads to action heroes, demonstrating his remarkably dependable ability as an actor. Unlike many of his contemporaries who were pigeonholed into a single archetype, Taylor's ability to shift effortlessly between genres, including drama, romance, historical epics, and war films, ensured his longevity in a notoriously fickle industry. By the 1940s, Robert Taylor had firmly established himself as one of Hollywood's most bankable and admired leading men. His performances in films such as Camille 1936, where he starred opposite the legendary Greta Garbo, and Waterloo-Bridge 1940 cemented his reputation as an actor capable of combining emotional depth with commanding screen presence. His work was characterized by a naturalistic style that avoided melodrama, allowing audiences to connect with his characters on a deeply human level. Taylor's ability to convey vulnerability, moral strength, and quiet intense distinction him from other stars of the period and contributed to his enduring appeal. Moreover, his collaborations with iconic directors and actors of the golden age of Hollywood reflected both his professional prestige and his willingness to continue enriching himself with diverse and demanding roles. As the film industry evolved, Taylor demonstrated an impressive capacity for reinvention, transitioning from romantic leads in the 1930s and 1942 to more mature roles in historical epics and suspense thrillers of the 1950s. He proved that his talent was not confined by age or genre. Notable works such as Quotas 1951 and Ivanhoe 1952 showcased his ability to portray heroic figures with gravitas, while films like House of the Seven Hawks 1959 reflected his adaptability to new cinematic styles. Even as television emerged as a dominant medium, Taylor successfully navigated this shift, embracing opportunities to reach new audiences without compromising the standards of excellence he had established in film. After dating her steadily for 3 years, Robert Taylor married the celebrated actress Barbara Stanwyck on May 14, 1939 in a quiet yet elegant ceremony held in San Diego, California. Their union attracted considerable attention from both the Hollywood press and the public, as both Taylor and Stanwyck were established stars at the peak of their fame. Admired for their talent, screen presence, and glamorous personas, the wedding itself bore a mix of Hollywood sophistication and personal intimacy, with a select number of close friends and confidants in attendance. Among the most notable was Marion Marx, the wife of comedian Zippo Marx of the famed Marx Brothers, who stood proudly as Stanwyck's matron of honor. Her presence added a touch of Hollywood comedy to the proceedings, emphasizing the tightly woven network of friendships and alliances within the film industry at that time. On Taylor's side, the role of best man was filled by Bibic Mack, a vaudevillian, who had long been a close friend, confidant, and personal assistant to Stanwyck. Mack was also family, as he had married Stanwyck's sister Millie, making him a surrogate father figure in Barbara's life and underscoring the importance of trust and loyalty in this momentous occasion. Despite their glamorous appearance as one of Hollywood's golden couples, the marriage between Taylor and Stanwyck proved to be complex and not without challenges. Their union lasted for nearly 12 years, during which they tried to balance their demanding careers with their personal lives. Living under the constant scrutiny of Hollywood gossip columnists often placed strain on their relationship. Nonetheless, their household was shared with Anthony Tinidian, Stanwyck's adopted son from her earlier marriage to actor Frank Fay. Tony was very much a part of their lives during the marriage, and Taylor embraced his role as stepfather, providence, and support in the midst of a household dominated by film schedules and public expectations. However, the couple's relationship heavily unraveled, and after years of strain and separation, Stanwyck filed for divorce in February 1951, ending one of the most discussed marriages in Hollywood of that era. After the divorce, Stanwyck retained custody of Tony, further cementing her deep maternal bond with her adopted son. Not long after his divorce, Taylor found love again. In 1952, he met the strikingly beautiful German actress Ursula Thies, who had come to America after making a name for herself in European cinema. The who was often described as possessing both elegancy and unnatural warmth, was considered Bimini to be one of the most beautiful women ever to arrive in Hollywood from abroad. Taylor and Thesis shared an immediate connection drawn together bibith, personal chemistry, and a mutual understanding of the pressures of a life in the public eye. After 2 years of courtship, they were married on May 23, 1954 in the picturesque wedding of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, a location that reflected Taylor's love of outdoors and the couple's preference for a celebration away from the glare of Hollywood. Their marriage was widely regarded as a happy one marked by genuine affection, stability, and the joy of raising a family together. Taylor and Theas welcomed 2 children into their lives, a son, Terrence, born in 1955, and a daughter, Tessa, born in 1959. Taylor delighted in fatherhood, often speaking of how much happiness his children brought him and cherishing the quieter moments away from the film set where he could enjoy life as a devoted and father. In addition to their own children, Taylor also took on the role of stepfather to Ursula's 2 children from her previous marriage, Manuela and Michael Tees. By all accounts, Taylor embraced this responsibility earnestly, seeking to provide them with stability and guidance as they adjusted to a new life in the United States. The blended family, though not without its difficulties, created a household that reflected Taylor's deep commitment to those he loved. Yet, tragedy struck the family in heartbreaking fashion. On May 26, 1969, only weeks before Taylor himself would lose his battle with lung cancer, Ursula discovered the lifeless body of her son, Michael Thews, in a West Los Angeles model room. Michael, who had struggled with personal demons for much of his life, died from a drug overdose, cutting short a life that had been marred by turmoil and instability. The grief was compounded by the knowledge that Michael had only recently been released from a mental hospital where he had spent time attempting to recover from his struggles. Michael's difficulties had been long-standing. As early as 1964, he had been sent to a reformatory after a deeply disturbing incident in which he attempted to poison his father with insecticide. These struggles painted a picture of a young man trapped in cycles of pain and instability which brought sorrow not only to his mother but also to Taylor, who had tried to be a guiding presence in his stepson's life. The tragedy of Michael's death coming so close to Taylor's own passing added an additional layer of sadness to the final chapter of Robert Taylor's life. At the age of 57, Robert Taylor, by then a seasoned Hollywood veteran, silver-haired yet still strikingly handsome, shocked many admirers when he chose to speak candidly about his turbulent and complicated marriage to Barbara Stanwyck. For years, the two had been one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples. Their photographs blazed across the pages of movie magazines and newspapers, creating the illusion of a fairy tale romance. But when Taylor looked back, his reflections were not gilded with nostalgia. Instead, he painted a portrait of a union that was far from perfect, calling it at times emotionally suffocating and deeply unsettling. People thought Barbara and I had that dream marriage. Taylor confessed, his voice low and almost weary. But the truth was, it wasn't all love and roses. It was something else, something far less pretty. Taylor, who had been cast by MGM as the epitome of the tall, dark, and handsome leading man, had long lived under the watchful eyes of the press. His marriage to Stanwyck in 1939 hadn't intensified that scrutiny. She was already a major star, a woman of tremendous strength and independence, while he was still finding his footing in the studio system. Looking back, Taylor admitted that this imbalance set tone for much of their relationship. Barbara was the bigger star when we married, he said bluntly. She was powerful, respected, and knew how to run her career with an iron hand. I, on the other hand, was still being molded by, and that difference, it spilled over into our marriage in ways that outsiders could never see. He went on to describe the domestic side of their union as something far from harmonious, while the public saw elegant Hollywood parties, perfectly staged photographs, and glowing interviews. Taylor suggested that their private life often varied into territory that was, in his words, disgusting. Behind closed doors, we weren't Robert Taylor and Barbara Stanwyck, Hollywood's golden couple, he revealed. We were two people who often couldn't stand each other. There were fights, sometimes over the smallest things. She could cut you down with words sharper than any knife. I'd retreat, sulk, sometimes disappear just to keep my sanity. That's not love. That's survival. One of the most shocking elements of Taylor's revelations was his claim their marriage was at times more of a studio arrangement than a genuine love story. MGM, eager to preserve the image of its leading man, had pushed Taylor into respectability by pairing him with Stanwyck, a woman who commanded admiration for her professionalism and self-discipline. It wasn't all my decision, Taylor admitted. The studio liked the idea of me with Barbara. It made sense for publicity, for keeping up appearances. I wouldn't say there was an attraction. There was. But love is something deeper, something freer. I never felt free in that marriage. By his own account, Stanwyck's intense personality often left Taylor feeling overwhelmed. She was older than him, wiser in the ways of the industry, and known for her non-nonsense approach to both work and life. Taylor recalled moments when he felt more like her protege or even her employee than her husband. Barbara wanted control, he stated flatly, in her career, in her home, in her marriage. I was expected to follow along to keep the image polished, and it did for a while, but inside I was miserable. It's disgusting when a marriage becomes more about power than about love. Despite his stark words, Taylor did not completely dismiss Stanwyck's place in his life. He acknowledged her loyalty, her devotion to work, and her unwillingness to compromise her standards. Yet the warmth one might expect from a husbandry great love was absent. Instead, his reflections were tinged with regret and bitterness, suggesting that the years spent in that union had cost him personal happiness. I don't hate her, he clarified. I never hated Barbara, but I hated the way we lived together. It was like living in a beautiful house that felt cold inside. No matter how fine the furniture or how grand the surroundings, it never felt like home. At 57, Robert Taylor's revelations about Barbara Stanwyck not only startled fans, but also stripped away one of Hollywood's most carefully preserved illusions. His words revealed the raw and unglamorous truth about a marriage that for decades had been presented as enviable. What remained was the image of two stars bound together not by passion but beauty, appearance, and an unspoken pressure to keep the Hollywood dream alive. People think they want the life of a movie star, Taylor said quietly, almost as if speaking to himself, but they don't know what it costs.